actual event doesn't matter as much as long as it's interesting and valuable for your community. What matters is this, okay? Making the call to invite them to the event. That's the game, okay? That is the game changer. I'm bringing that from, I'm bringing my box brownie vibes. It is the game changer, right? It is the touches. I know. It is blast from the past.
Changer.
Wait,
hold on, Gus.
Hold on,
damn it. You need a slide right before this one that just says game changer.
And I had the time to do it, man. Drop the ball. I dropped the ball. That would have been a good screenshot to send out.
Because the management and transparency is what's very important. So once you submit a referral, you're going to have your own Home Advantage account, and it's going to tell you where everything sits. So if you have 10 referrals that you've sent into the network, it's going to give you all 10 referrals. It's going to tell you every milestone that client is sitting in, whether they're touring homes, whether they're in escrow. And you now can manage through the Home Advantage application as far as what your pipeline looks like for the referrals that you've sent. And so it's pretty sophisticated, and it's all click of a button, guys.
I was just texting with Gus yesterday. He got us our ISA. He had left and he came back. We really loved this one, and he's been with us for such a long time. By the way, we've been
back.
Dude, how long have we been using this? 5 years? 6 years?
It's been like pre-AI, pre-ChatGPT. I don't know if that's one I know.
Pre-COVID.
Right? It's pre-COVID. Oh, that's the real one, right? Pre-COVID.
That's why I always remember.
Back
like
in
at
the
least.
old day.
Yeah. So I think it's 5 years. I think it's 6, but I'm going to just say 5 just to be safe. And they call a lot of our database. And I'm going to just show you really quick. I had Blur. So this happened with your ISA team right now. So I'm bringing it up.
Love it.
I had Follow Up Boss. I was going to share my screen when Barry was talking, and I had it logged on, and I'm just going to take you through it right now to show you what happened. Okay. It's funny and it's cool at the same time with Follow Up Boss, PowerISA. So here's my YLOPO. YLOPO leads come into Follow Up Boss. So I wanted to bring it up with Barry. You see, our Follow Up Boss account has 76,000 contacts.
Nice, man.
And that's who you're calling. But what I did, because I wanted to kind of blur out everybody's info, right? I went over to here and I went to Power Ups and I blur mode it. So I went to people and it blurs their phone number, right? So now I can do a whole presentation. So now it's like you can't read any of their information. I left it on. And guess what happened? Well,
oops.
Your ISAs reached out to Follow Up Boss, and they're like, "Hey guys, we can't see anything. Blur mode's on. Can you please remove it?" So that's how I thought that was funny.
There you go. That's key. That's key.
Yeah, man. And for those of you who don't know Gus has been running PowerISA for a long time. His background's all engineering. He has an amazing company that calls all of our incoming leads and a lot of other things. Gus, tell us about your company and what you're going to talk about.
Thanks so much, Tristan. I appreciate that. Yeah, so Gus with PowerISA, we've been around since 2015. Have served about 1,300 real estate, mortgage investors, and all in the real estate space. That's our niche. And we help them, like Tristan said, we help them make the calls. We help them make that part of the process. And again, all these if you watch it today, been a lot of great presentations on the AI, the automation, the tools. The one thing that all of these companies will tell you, and it's YLOPO and it's Chime and Follow Up Boss will tell you, we've got all these tools, these amazing platforms now to get people's attention. But if you don't pick up the phone, right? Don't pick up the phone, you're not going to make anything happen, right? At the end of the day, you still need that. You still need that. So far, summer of 2023, in a few years, who knows, right? But right now, you're not going to get the results you expect without picking up the phone and making those calls. And PowerISA helps you do that, right? We help make sure we have those conversations, two-way conversations happen, whether they're in that inbound lead conversion space outbound lead generation space, whatever it is, we help you make it happen. So what I want to talk about today's topic, and it's a monster. I looked at it and I go, we have like 25 minutes to do this. I'm like, oh my God, I'll do my best, folks. I will do my best. You're going to get a copy of the deck. And if you have any questions about it, I'll be happy to answer them within the Facebook group or outside of that too. Because it's a monster presentation. I'm going to do my best to get into it. If people have questions, I'm going to drill down into those things. So definitely make sure you're sending out your questions. If you want me to stop and spend a little bit more time on any one of these things. The topic for today is, and let me share my screen because I know somebody. Can you guys turn that on? The screen sharing thingamabob?
Jake, that's
Jake,
going to be you, buddy. Let us know.
Can you enable the screen share? Well, anyways, the presentation today is 4 ways you can prospect for sellers right now in this market, 100%, right? So that is the topic of the moment. It's important. I'll talk about why that's important. That's what I'm talking about today. Can you guys see that now?
I can see it. Gus, can you do us a favor? Because I'm going to forget. Once you're done, send this over to us because we're going to give this away so people don't snapshot it as much.
Oh, 100%. Yeah. I want to avoid people snapshotting these things. You don't need to. We're going to provide that to you guys. Don't worry about it. Pay attention and ask any questions you guys have got, right? And for this presentation, I'm using the Tristan definition of prospecting, right? The Tristan definition, because a lot of people think that prospecting is necessarily cold calling. Not necessarily. I read a great book about that topic saying that prospecting is another word for connecting with people, right? So I'm going to go over 4 different ways you can connect with people to generate sellers right now. Why is this such an important topic? Because check it out, right? All the forecasts that we had this year and next year got revised in the last 90 days. Why? Because we're seeing right now this week, as we're seeing interest rates go above 7%, we're seeing inventory levels drop, right? Unexpected. We didn't expect this to happen. Like, this data is from Zillow, but CoreLogic, Case-Shiller, they all said the same things. They said, hey, this year's year-over-year appreciation went from 1% to almost 5%, right? In that revision, we expect prices to go up this year. I did not have that on my bingo card. I got this information from you, Tristan, right? If between April and May this year, out of 100 metro areas, one of them saw a price decrease, okay? Out of 100 metro areas, this is the peak spring buying and selling season in the country. One market saw a decrease in prices. That's Austin. Sorry, Austin, had to call you out. My bad. Next one, out of 200, this is from Realtor.com, out of 200 top metros, 99% of them saw listings go down this year, okay? Listings going down. We're seeing this in the market of today. There's only 2, if this number is accurate, there's only 2 markets that saw listings actually go up. Sorry, Austin. And the other one's probably, Las Vegas or Phoenix, right? So other than those markets, everyone is in some kind of a inventory crunch, right? And if you look at just a typical, this is like active list, this is from Realtor.com. This is from the Fed, but the data is from Realtor.com. If you look at where we are inventory-wise, right? At about, 500 to 600,000 active listings. Look where we were the summer before the pandemic, 1.2 million active listings. We're not even at half of the summer inventory we used to have before the pandemic. All of these things are accurate. All of these things are correct. What does it mean? We've got to go out there and look for more inventory, okay? We've got to go out there and find more properties to sell. I'm here to tell you the top 4 ways that clients of PowerISA and top agents in the industry are doing this right now. Not from a year ago, not from 8 months ago, 2023. Summer of 2023, these 4 ways are working to generate listings in this market, the shifting market that we're in right now. So let's jump right into it. Option number 1, folks, tried and true. I love asking this question with an LCA. I ask this question in LCA probably 2 to 3 times a year, okay? Where'd your last listing come from? When I see someone that just asked that, well, I won't ask it right away. But I love looking at this question, right? Because it usually gets 100, 200, 300 replies. And I look at almost every one of those comments because I want to see, did someone say something different, something interesting? What do people say? Usually, and I've counted this pretty accurately, about 70 to 80% of people that answer this question say that their last listing came from their database. Sphere of influence, friends and family, past clients, people they went to school with and from high school, their neighbors, people they went to church with. That is where they got their last listing. So I want to start here because this is where you can really build a massive business. Your database is your business. Of course, it's not just a way to build your business. It is the highest ROI of any lead generation activity, okay? Highest ROI of any lead generation activity. Why? Because it only costs you your time. You don't have to buy a dialer to call your database. You usually just pick up the phone and call, right? You can just use social media and message people. You can just connect with them. That is why database is such a high ROI activity, okay? So, I mean, people who should be in your database, really simple, folks. This is your Met database. Don't confuse this with other things. I'll talk about other kinds of databases later. But your Met database, friends, family, past clients, co-workers, people that are out of state, etc. Okay, anyone that if you called or texted them would know who you are. That is your database. But here's the biggest problem with it, because everyone's heard of database. I understand that. But most people do not get 10 to 15% referrals every year from your database. Most people don't get, most people are nowhere near that, okay? And you might not know this, but in my first years in real estate, I only did database. This is before I started with ISAs. I didn't do ISAs, I didn't do prospecting yet. But my first 3-4 years in the business, all I did was call a list of 200 people, and I would get about 25 to 30 deals a year from that list of 200 people every single year, right? So that for me, that was a 15%, return, right? Referrals to people in your database. 10% is great. If you can get 10%, that's an amazing amount. But the real question is how, okay? So I'm going to jump right into this. How do you properly market to a database? Because a lot of people are saying, Gus, I've got 500 people in my database and they gave me one deal last year. What are you talking about? What do you mean properly marketed? I'm going to jump right into that, right? You should have a minimum of 200 people in your database. That's usually the first problem for some agents. They've got like 30 people in their database, 100 people in their database. Folks, I came from outside the country. I went to Seattle, and by living and working in Seattle, I got a database of 200 people that knew, liked, and trusted me, okay? If you're born in the US, your first language is English, and you're there, I mean, you should have more than 200 people in your database. 200 should be the minimum. And I did this, actually, I'm pretty sure it was on a webinar with a top producer out of Oklahoma, Brett Boone. He said, and he's a master cold caller, by the way. He's a guy that built his business on, for sell by owner and expired. But now that he has a 30-person team, his number one lead source is database, okay? Database. No one can join his team without bringing a list of 200 people, name, address, phone number, and contact information, right? Email. No one can join his team without 200 people in that list because Brett knows how to properly market to a database. He doesn't trust the agents to do it. He goes, if you join my team, we're going to do it, right? Together. And that is going to yield a 10% return every single year. So he loves having that idea. I really love that idea. It's a great set, but it's a really high standard when you think about it. But to him, it's like, that's just to get started. Before you even join the team, you've got to have that built out. I think that's brilliant. So the next thing is you got to make sure you've got complete contact information. You want to get them on a multiple touch program. But here's this is the thing I want you to take away from this talk, right? You can get the automation, the emails, you can do the social media posting, all of these things, right? But the biggest thing that moved the needle for me, we're having 4 client events every single year, okay? And you've got a bunch of options to do these client events. It can be in person, it can be virtual, it could be an ice cream social at your office. This is really, I did a movie night one time. I was living in an apartment at the time, and I rented out the little movie theater, and I had popcorn. That was my event, right? Once I had more budget, more deals, I did drinks at a local restaurant, drinks and snacks, and I did a picnic in the park. I rented out a skating rink. This is Seattle. I rented out a skating rink, and people could bring their families. You can build it up, but ultimately, what really matters, what matters the most, because the actual event, I'll be honest with you, doesn't matter as much, okay? The actual event doesn't matter as much as long as it's interesting and valuable for your community. What matters is this, okay? Making the call to invite them to the event. That's the game, okay? That is the game changer. I'm bringing that from, I'm bringing my box brownie vibes. It is the game changer, right? It is the touches. I know it is blast from the past.
Changer.
Hold
on, Gus. Hold on, damn it. You need a slide right before this one that just says game changer.
You know, and
And
I
then-
had the
and then
time.
do that.
I had the time to do it, man. Drop the ball. I dropped the ball. That would have been a good. That would have been a good screenshot to send over. But,
Jake
you know,
said we need a game changer T-shirt.
that's true. I love that. That's a great
So-
phrase. You know, this is the game changer is this: giving yourself a great reason to call your database, because so many agents, they don't want to call. I get it. I have empathy with that. They avoid it. They don't like it. No one likes it. No, to be clear, I had a 15% return on referrals to 200 people. I did not enjoy those calls. They're not easy calls to make for me. Having
True.
an event to invite people to made that call 10 times easier. Okay. For me, 10 times easier. Invite them to the event. Lead with value, right? Right. Come from contribution. The client event will add value. And then you have the opportunity to make the ask. And the ask is very simple. Tristan, I'd love to invite you to the blah, blah event. Can you make it? Maybe yes, maybe no. Who cares? And Tristan, by the way, as always, I'd love your help building my business, right? Do you know anyone? Do you happen to know anyone that might be thinking of buying or selling or having any kind of real estate need over the next year? Can you think of anyone, right? That's the reason for the call, folks. That's the whole point. And once people either confirm or say they're not going to go to the event, you can have additional touches, like reminding them of the event, reminding them the day before. You're seeing them at the event, sending them a thank you card for attending the event. People, you can actually have multiple touches out of each one of the events. You should have 4 of them per year, okay? If you happen to be in a situation where you have a larger database, I'd love to tell this story real quick. This is Rodolfo and Shannon out of Seattle. They hired an ISA full-time just to call Rodolfo's database within Seattle because his personal Met database was almost 10,000 people in Seattle, okay? So just by actually giving people a call, because Rodolfo's one of those guys, and I'm not making this up, I swear. I went to dinner with him. We couldn't even get to the table because he was saying hi to everybody. This is in South Seattle, Burien area. And they were giving him his business, like giving him cards, saying hi. He was talking to everybody. And at the end of the dinner, he like bragged to me, hey, he collected like 10 business cards. The ones that are bent at the corner are listings I have to go take, okay? Listings he had to go walk in and take because he had connected with those folks. He was a very famous listing agent. And all he needed to do was reach out to folks. So people, this is the kind of guy where people are coming to him, right? So, but he never called his database, never intentionally. He had an ISA call his database. He had 55 listing appointments within the first 60 days.
Well, think about how you're reaching out to people. I mean, you do this so well. Your team does this so well, right? The ISAs. By the way, I mentioned PowerISA in the book as well because we do use them.
I love that.
I think
what book? This book? You're talking about this book? This here?
That book, yeah, that book, buddy, that book. The key is that you're offering value from the very beginning. You're training people from the beginning as to how you're going to communicate, right? That's 100%.
That's it. And if you and you know, it makes the conversation easier. It makes making the call easier. You know, Tristan, this phone can weigh 10,000 pounds when it's time to call your database. It's hard to do. I have empathy for that, right? But doing it can be huge for your business. Let's move right along to prospecting, right? And this is, when I mean prospecting in this context, it is cold calling, cold outreach. This is the second most profitable way to generate sellers, okay? Right? Because it has some of the highest converting sources, expired listings, for sold by owner listings, withdrawn and canceled listings, right? It is much easier to scale than your database. That's the one thing about database, right? It's really challenging to double the size of your database from one year to the next. Very hard to do because it's built on relationships and it's built on spending time with folks, right? Doubling the amount of prospecting cold calls you make, you can do that from one year to the next. You can double the amount of people you talk to with outbound prospecting, okay? So it's very different in that sense, okay? I know a lot of people hate calling expired in FSBO. Like, oh my God, that again. I don't want to do that. Well, I have good news. That's not the only kind of cold calling you can do. There are more lead sources that you can talk, and I'm going to mention them in a second. And here's another thing, Tristan, okay? It is way easier to make these calls right now, the summer of 2023, than it was 6 months ago. Okay. And I hear this from my clients in my coaching sessions every week. They're telling me, Gus, you're absolutely right, because put yourself in the mindset of a canceled or expired seller, right? From a year ago. Okay. A lot of these sellers tried to sell last summer, last fall, last winter. And where was the market going last fall, last summer, last winter? It was going down in some areas very rapidly. Okay. So they feel they missed the mark. They feel they missed the top of the market and they're kicking themselves, right? Well, if you call some of those folks, right? Because all they're seeing in the headlines, Tristan, is recession and is the market crashing today or tomorrow and the 7% interest rates and oh my God, this is impossible. And if you call them, right, a potential seller, motivated seller from a year ago, and you give them the good news that we've been seeing 3, 4, 5 months of positive price movement, you're going to surprise them. The odds are they're not going to know that. Okay. So you should be reaching out to as many of these folks as possible on a daily basis and finding the ones that are woefully misinformed and updating them of the market of today. Okay. So to get ready to make these calls, you need 3 things: data, dialers, scripting. Okay. Data, by the way, we'll talk about this in a few minutes. Red X, right? So, hey, by the way, people that are in the talk right now, ask Red X about their Geo Leads product, right? Yeah, my opinion, they have the best Geo Leads product out there right now. People should ask about that in the next talk for Tyler, right? Tyler, there you go. So you got to get some data, you got to get a dialer, you got to get your script, and you got to get calling. This is how an ISA can help, because a lot of people hire ISAs for this scenario, the cold outreach scenario. And I want to give one quick note, okay? This is something, this is different than what most people use ISAs for, or what they think they should be using an ISA for. We call this model shaking the tree. And I did not come up with that term. This came from Coach John D. Smith, from Coach Brandon Mulrennan, like big guys in the cold calling space, because they've been through a lot of ISAs and they know how this works. And a big mistake agents make when they hire an ISA is that I'm going to hire an ISA and they're going to call the expired and send a bunch of listing appointments for me. And I'm going to go attend these and I'm going to be golden. And that's not how it works. Okay. I wish it worked that way. It worked that easy. You give Gus your credit card and a bunch of listing appointments show up the next day. I know, man. I mean, bane of my existence. But the real goal should be for the ISA. They're doing cold outreach, right? They are doing lead generation. They're taking the cold list, unmet, uncontacted for you, and they're generating qualified sellers. Okay. They should be generating qualified sellers. What does that mean? It means they're calling, and I don't care whether it's absentee owner, expired, withdrawn, for sale by owner. They're calling these sellers. They are qualifying them to make sure there's still motivation to sell, right? If you got a great offer, if you got more money than you expected, would you still sell this property, right? Great. Are you open to hearing what Tristan has to say to get your home sold? Because, and then you have to go lead source specific. The answer to that question is different, whether it's a for sale by owner, an absentee, and expired, but they just qualify them. If you got a great offer, would you still be willing to sell? Would you be willing to listen to my agent to see what we can do to get that property sold? And right now in the summer, right now, it might be going for more than you anticipated. Would you like to hear more about that, right? What we do to get homes sold in this market. And that is what your ISA should be doing, okay?
I love that.
They should be calling 100, 200, 300 people every day, asking that question and handing off, shaking the tree and handing off those motivated sellers over to the agent. Because it's in my opinion, Tristan, it's the agent's job to then build that rapport, present themselves to the seller, and show them why they should meet and why it makes sense, okay? Because of the market, because of what you can do for them, because of their opportunity, and they should go meet at the property. I've seen this be a much more successful model than expecting the ISA to duke it out with an expired seller, for sale by owner seller, an absentee owner, and get them the listing appointment ready to go, right? That just doesn't happen. This model you can have a lot of success with because the ISA is generating leads. The ISA is in lead generation role, okay? Lead generation role. And they're getting these hand raiser sellers ready to go, okay? So I'm gonna breeze bypass this. Old expireds and for sale by owner, this is the kind of approach you want to take. It's all about motivation, time frame, the opportunity, and the curiosity. Hey, the market's improving, right? Why are you not getting any offers on this property, right? You should be getting more offers on this property. Get their curiosity going. When we're talking about absentee owners, okay? The big thing about absentee owners, Tristan, is that they get bombarded, but from investors, okay? The real estate agents typically don't call these folks. Very little, nothing compared to the expired and the for sale by owner, okay? Absentee owners mostly get called by investors, and investors, as you didn't know, they don't want to give you the highest and best value. They just don't, okay? So you have to differentiate yourself from those investors and start that conversation. Would they like to get highest and best for that property? If they got a great offer, would they be willing to talk to an agent, okay? And last but not least, good old circle prospecting. Man, we've done, I think, a couple webinars on this topic already this year because it's so successful.
Yep.
If, and there's a big if here, if you can talk to 20, 30 new people every day, circle prospecting can work for you. That's the biggest, if with circle prospecting. If you can get call flow, contact flow in your area, circle prospecting can be huge. I've got some case studies here. Brittany Davis, 2 seller leads per day. So her ISA was making these calls. She would get 2 qualified sellers, which means confirmed homeowner, confirmed address, confirmed contact information, phone and email, and motivation to sell. That is a qualified seller, and 3 listing appointments per week. So she was getting 10 leads, right, a week, and she could get 3 listing appointments a week from those leads, right, with her ISA. And she was focusing on for sale by owners. Kent Brown, Jonathan Tiedemann. So Kent Brown, expired master. Jonathan Tiedemann, circle prospecting guy, and Ben Riles, he's an absentee owner guy. So check these out. All of these testimonials and case studies came from the last 6 months, okay? This is not stuff that was working in 2022. That doesn't work anymore, right? This is the market of today. You should check these out, and you'll have them in the slide deck we're going to send out, okay? So got about 1 minute to cover internet leads, right? So real quick, I'm going to jump here to the end, right? Because you have we're talking about sellers, right? So when you talk about seller lead generation on internet ads, internet leads, you've only got a few options, right? You're either going to do home valuation ads, you're going to do lead magnet ads, you're going to buy Google pay-per-click. How much is my home worth kind of keywords? That's essentially it. There's more, but that's the overwhelming majority of the market. This can be challenging for a few reasons, right? These ads, the seller focus, they work, no doubt, but they cast a very wide net as well, okay? The conversion rate tends to be lower on a seller-focused ad versus a buyer-focused ad. And the cost per lead, the cost per acquisition, it's just higher, right? Because you're going through a different route. One thing that we did at PowerISA, we had a hypothesis, right? We believe every single home seller is also a buyer. That is true in almost every case. Not every buyer is a seller, for sure, but almost every seller is a buyer, right? And we want to make sure, how true could that be? We did an experiment. We got about a dozen different clients to try this out. Said, you know what? Try these Facebook ad campaigns, US and Canada. We'll help you run them, right? We'll do it for you for free. We want to generate and want to analyze the data, okay? So I'm going to jump into the results of this. We ran these kinds of ads for them in their area, focused on their market. And the results were kind of surprising for us. 51% of the leads we generated out of 706 leads, right? 12 different markets. 51% said they were homeowners, okay? And this is a buyer-focused ad. This is a homes list focused ad. 51% said they weren't renters. They were homeowners, right? We asked this up front before we got any information from them. That was something we asked them. We got 51%. And as we compare these results with other folks in the market, they told us 40 to 50% is typical for most markets, right? 40 to 50% are going to have a home. They're going to be a homeowner. Whether they have the home to sell or not, that's something you got to ask them. But I think these numbers are very encouraging because I believe that focusing more on buyer leads can actually yield more sellers than people anticipate. So that's pretty much it, Tristan. That's what I got. I think we're pretty much out of time. But I'd love to jump in and talk about a giveaway.
Yes, you have a giveaway. You have one giveaway, right?
Yes. One.
Okay.
Well, we can actually. Well, we have one thing to give away. We can give up to. How many people can we give this to? It's a digital product.
I don't know. Maybe like if you want to extend it, maybe 3. Maybe to 3.
Good. 3 is good. We'll do 3.
Okay. Then what is it first? Tell me what it is.
So what it is our scripts pack. We have our scripts pack, right? So we're going to give away our database prospecting script for your own database. We're going to give
Okay.
away our circle prospecting script in case you want to give that a try. And we're going to give away this last one, our inbound Facebook lead conversion script. Okay. So a PowerISA scripts pack, we're going to give it away. We've never bundled the three of these together before. We're going to give it away on this webinar.
I like that. Okay, so then what's the question? What are people going to answer? Ask a question to see if they were paying attention, or
Yes.
a generalized question that you want. And then
So
Nick
what
can pick 3 of the winners here.
What are one of the examples that I gave for great client events to help you prospect your database? What are some of the examples that I gave for great client events to prospect your database?
Oh, people were paying attention.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
Ice cream, movie night, ice skating.
Ooh,
A lot of ice
They
cream.
got it. They got it.
Dungeons and Dragons night. I saw that. That's really good. I didn't know you talked about that, Gus.
Dungeons and Dragons.
I'm just
That's a
messing
good.
with you. I'm just messing with
I think Heather,
I'm like,
Heather
holy
got it.
cow. Those
Heather
are
was
inside
right.
words. Those are
Picnic.
inside
Movie night
words,
with
Kristen, not outside
popcorn.
words.
movie night with popcorn, Gus, right?
Yeah, it was movie night,
Heather,
ice cream social, drinks at drinks and snacks at a local restaurant. It was ice skating rink rental. It was movie night as well. So yeah, we got those were the examples that we gave. So if you can help me select 3 lucky winners out of the folks that answered that would be great.
yeah, okay. I'm doing that, Gus. Thank you for that question. We're gonna type in who Heather McBride.
Wait, hold on a second. It's a digital file.
It's a download. Yes, digital download.
Does it? I mean, why can't we just give it to everyone who's on here? I don't understand.
So I mean that's a great question. I think we can. I actually think we can give it to anyone and everyone.
Do you want to do that?
That wants it? Absolutely, absolutely.
Why?
How do-
I mean, that would help. That would help Gus, and it would also help our
Hold on then.
attendees.
I'm seeing the
Yeah.
comments still come in.
Yeah.
I'm like, you know what? Let's just do it. Let's give it to everybody.
Yeah,
Why don't
it's
we just
not
give it
like
to
you have
everybody?
to send anything in the mail. It's
Nope.
email.
100%. Thank you so much. Nick.
Everyone wins. Look, everyone, check underneath your seats right
Everyone's
now.
a
Your
winner.
Digital download right
You
now.
get a script.
Yeah, you get a script, and you get a script.
You too. All right.
Guys, that's
I
never
love it,
gonna
guys.
get old. I love that. That's never gonna get old.
Love it, guys. Thank you so much for having me on here. I appreciate the opportunity, folks.
Wait, Gus, how do we get the link?
Yeah, you
Oh,
gotta
my
send
bad. Oh, I thought we were
Guys,
gonna send it out to.
just send it to Case and Sandra,
All
and
right.
they'll send it out.
Yeah, we'll send it out with the
Game-changer.
deck.
Thanks, Cindy.
It'll be a game-changing link that we're gonna send out together with the deck. So will you everyone? How about this, guys? Will we send it to attendees only, or everyone like registers?
I don't know
What
if
do you
we
guys
can
think?
separate attendees
Uh,
only on Zoom. Can you?
Attendees
Well,
only.
Yes.
Can you do that
boom.
though? Can
Lucky
the Zoom let
you.
you do that?
It does for sure.
Oh,
It
okay.
does.
Then we'll send it to attendees. Okay.
Love it. There we go. Attendees only.
Jake's like, we'll
Attendees
figure it
only.
out.
Yes.
Thanks,
Absolutely.
guys.
Thanks, guys.